Because that's got to be triggering for him in a lot of ways too. Triggering, or maybe he's just proud.
You know, at first it was rocky because I felt like he couldn't handle my success. I felt like it did come from an envious place, which is okay because he's human and it's fine. But I felt like, you know, he still wants, like, he's one of those people that feels like, yo, like, I still have a story to tell. You know, I still feel like something, I have to say something. Like, no, he's like, I have to say something. Like, he's one of those people like, let me at him.
How do
Oof, baby. Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. I promise I'll be back later on, and I am here on a late one. But today's topic is going to be quite heavy. We're talking about daughters and father relationships. We can also talk about, obviously, I guess, sons and fathers as well. But we want to talk a little bit about parental relationships with their children, go a little bit deeper in terms of how parental figures do affect children as well. So today's going to be one of those conversations that hopefully, if you're listening, you get some freedom, some understanding. You know, maybe you'll come to a place where you're like, you know what, I've been through the same thing and this has kind of helped me. We want to have one of those kind of conversations today. So keep it cute, keep it classy in the chat. If you're watching on replay, by all means, drop a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts as well. And I won't be doing it alone today. I will be doing it with Jay, who also be sharing a little bit about her perspective and, you know, a little bit from what she's experienced to kind of give us a better understanding of that perspective. I believe that fathers have an important role in any child's life. And in fact, you know, fathers, Christians alike, parents alike, love to quote a certain scripture, Ephesians 6 verse 1, about children obey your parents, for this is the first kind of promise that's been made. They fail to read part 2, which is verse 2. And it says, fathers, do not exasperate, okay, your children, all right? Do not exasperate them. Do not make them angry to a point by your treatment. And so that means that the way that a father treats a child is what he will get as a reflection. And the Bible says, train a child in the way to go and he will not depart from it. So there is responsibility on the parent to parent correctly. You can't just ask for honor and respect, and you're not actually putting that and inputting that in your child. And a lot of times parents, especially on the past generation and the generations gone, have a stiff upper lip and they believe that they've done all they can do. But they sometimes forget that many of us need emotional care as much as also the physical care. So we're going to get deep today and some real conversations as well. So it's gonna get interesting. But first and foremost, like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate y'all. Stay locked and stay loaded. We about to have one of those great conversations once again. Well, Jay, you know, this kind of conversation is a sticky one. I know everyone just saw a video clip of Coi Leray. She was talking about her father, who is actually Benzino, who's done quite a lot in the hip-hop game, but their relationship is at a strain. The relationship is at a point where she's even come out on big boy platforms for the last 2 or 3 years and has actually really outed her father. And I mean, at one point, she called me a bitch ass nigga. I can't lie to you. Okay, so, you know, it was at a place where she really was hurt and angry at the relationship that her father figure had instituted between the two of them. But I know you have your own kind of experience and you've gone through your own journey. I know you're currently experiencing your thing as well right now. But when you see someone like Coi Leray's situation, what goes through your head and what comes to mind for you?
Is one of the first thing that comes to mind is that unconditional love that we still have for our parents. Because even in that moment, she started making some excuses. He's human, you know. I know it's coming from a place from he just want to tell his story. We're making excuses for why they're doing the things and stuff like that. So that was like one of the things that stuck out is, despite it all, there's still love we have for our parents, because we do understand that it's not a job that you just gonna get 100% right. parenting is just not 100% fail proof. And there has to always hold some grace for our parents. However, we have to find a ground that I know a lot of us as children, especially when we come into maturehood, adulthood, we struggle finding that ground of setting proper boundaries with our parents because they don't believe in a boundary for the effect that I am authority, I'm your parent, I am this, I'm that. And just like that scripture said, that's case with the scriptures, they always read that one, but forget the rest. They don't never go past the rest, especially when they're grooming you or they're, raising you as a child. They gonna remind you of, spoil the rod, spoil the child. Like they gonna remind you of that part of it, but they're not gonna remember that God also gave them commandment of not doing things to make your child act out in rebellion against you. Then you won't have to whip your child. You won't have to put hands on your child. You won't have to discipline them if you're not doing little things yourself sometimes. Now, a kid is going to be mischievous. That's what we're doing. We're growing, we're learning, we're curious about the world. So yes, the parents should set some boundaries for us. But sometimes when they're setting the boundaries, they overstep them themselves. And that's where we have a problem where if I mesh both the Coi Leray situation and the Keke Palmer situation, where we have people now feeling entitled enough to put hands on other people when they walk into the world. And then we have other people just sitting docile because they think this is what love is. They think certain type of communication or a certain type of treatment is love, which is all negative, i.e. cursing somebody out, calling people out their name, or even to the point of actually putting hands on them. And so we have, as parents, we have an active duty to show some type of balance in the way we treat our children so they can grow up being balanced human beings and know well enough to say, you know what, let me check myself before I check the next person. Let me put hands on myself and restrain myself for putting hands on somebody else, because I know deep down inside and that's not right. And I know everybody gonna say, oh, y'all like to be biblical and all this stuff like that, but we need to put God back into our children. We've taken the Bible out of so many things that we don't have a proper understanding a lot of times about what the scriptures is telling us to do. We want to just jump to the ones that works for us and those favors in that moment and stuff. And we don't want to acknowledge the other ones that hold us responsible and accountable for a lot of things that we do. And so I think that's where we at with Coi Leray when it comes to her dad. It's like, now I'm an adult. You weren't there for the formative years. Now that I'm an actual adult, now you want to be around. Now that I found some success on my own, now you want credit for it. And the funny thing is, everybody knows that I'm a daddy's girl. And I'll tell you a little bit of that story because it wasn't always that case. But I am a daddy's girl because at the end of the day, that was the parent that I had. So I'm in a catch-22 situation, damned if I do, damned if I don't. However, my daddy used to always say this little thing is, he say, everybody get an award. You always see people get up on the award show and they always thank their mama. They always thank their mama. They don't never say, thank you, daddy. And sometimes it's because the daddy was too busy providing financially that emotionally, spiritually, mentally, he wasn't there. Where mama was all that, keeping us strong to get through the day-to-day, get through the practices, get through whatever assignments that we had going on. It was mama there a lot of times for most of us that had both parents in the home. So in this situation, Benzino wants credit for where he wasn't an active parent. He wasn't an active father. And I know people, I don't really like to say baby daddy, baby mama, but that's what he was. You was a sperm donor at this point. Because if you're not there for the formative years of her growing and learning and understanding, hey, this is what a love from a man is supposed to look like, because the first person that's supposed to love us as daughters, as children, is our fathers, then how are you going to come when she started to make it on her own and ask for that success now? It's just the craziest thing, and I can get where she's coming from that. Because it's like you did nothing. And on my hand, I'll say it, that's in my case with my biological mother. It's like you want me to give you the praises that somebody else took credit for, like somebody else actually raised me. So I can't give you those praises. I'm trying to build the relationship from where we are now, and let's just work from there. I have an actual boundary up now. Now we are in a front. We're no longer in a parent-child mode. We're in a friend, acquaintance mode, trying to be friends. So let's work on that now. Or whatnot. Coach, I don't know where your phone went. It timed out.
Oh, I'm still here. Damn.
Your camera left you. But yeah, that's what I got off of that so far. Just off that situation.
I'm gonna use this for now because I think my phone's dead. But no. Listen, I think, thank you for sharing. First of all, I think linking it even to Coi Leray and yourself. I think one of the crazy things about this situation is that I was looking at the comment section actually at the Coi Leray video originally when it's dropped on internet, and there was so many people saying, I can't believe she would speak about her father like this, can't believe she'll come out and say on the internet, there were so many comments that were disparaging of her speaking her truth, and I realized there's too many people to be a part of the problem. Too many people are willing to be a part of the problem, not part of the solution. They believe by not talking about something, it gets solved. It doesn't get solved. That's the old school mentality of how things actually perpetuate, and actually how we harbor things, and actually how we get hurt by things further. And I think one of the greatest things that a parent can do is hearing the complaint of a child and saying, you know what? I didn't realize that you saw it that way. I got it wrong. I put my hands up. I apologize. Nobody's asking for you to turn the Titanic around and take turn back the hands of time, because it's not possible. Mm-hmm. What people are looking for is accountability, and a lot of times the damage that's done is not just the first offense; it's the second and the third one after. When the person goes, you hurt me, and you go, I didn't do that. I never did that. It wasn't me. And what people don't really realize is you're not actually helping the person in the situation. I had a situation with my sister. She came to me and said, I said X, Y, and Z to her when she was younger. I said, I would never. But you know what? Hey, maybe I said it and I didn't realize. So I said, I apologize for what I've said. And I didn't mean to hurt you. I apologize for that. That should never be coming out of my mouth. Now, I can't remember for the life of me if I said it or not. But she said she remembers me saying it. Therefore, I'm not about to argue with you whether I said it or not. It's irrelevant. Right? It doesn't cost me anything. I'm not hurt by it. Yes, I may not have thought that I might have said it. It doesn't make a difference. She said I said it. I'm going to apologize. Because at the end of the day, it's also about repairing, one, the relationship, but number two, also helping people be free. Because sometimes you are thinking about you only and not about how other people are affected. Number two, we actually forget things a lot of times. Mm-hmm. So when people are saying and doing things, people get amnesia in what they said or do. And many of us have experienced a parent do something absolutely buck wild, and you mention it to them and they go, no, I didn't do that. And you're like, no, you did. And so everyone has those moments because you're a human being. They're natural things. But I think one of the greatest things that any parent can do is literally listening to the complaint of a child and saying, you know what, I hear you, and I'm sorry that happened, rather than trying to almost gaslight the person, then deflect and then say, well, if you did that, it's because I did. It's because you did X, Y, and Z. That's why I did what I did. Rather than looking at how they can actually help aid the healing, you then become even more part of the problem. And I think with Coi Leray, she even was graceful in that moment, but she's cussed them out before. So she's in pain, you know what I mean? And maybe she got to a bit of a better place where she can even say, I can understand he's human, whatever. But my point on this, and I'll let you jump in now. I think sometimes we cover people on what they do, and they still don't respect the covering. So you cover them and you say, hey, you know what, to the public, I don't want anyone to know about this. And then they still dog you out behind the scenes. And it just doubles the pain. You know what I mean? So Coi Leray will say right now, oh, I believe he's a human being, da-da-da. And immediately Benzino went on live, found Tasha K, and then started basically complaining. And it's like, that's exactly what we're talking about, So, I think just acknowledging goes a very, very long way as well to healing for a lot of people,
Yeah, I think to that too. And when in this particular situation, I'll stay on this particular situation for the purpose of it. it seems like Cola may try to tell him in personal settings, in private settings. And like you said, sometimes the parent is just not hearing them. It's not hearing them out while they were trying to say it in these public spaces. So we have to do unconventional methods next to get our point across. And it's funny that these people in this particular chat is now saying why she's speaking out is like you said, she's been spoke out. She's been saying she said more hurtful things in the past to him than this. Okay, this is actually a good. She's in a place of understanding. That's why she's speaking out the way she is now. But before it was kind of like a "F you, stop talking to me" type thing. Like, we haven't talked in years. Leave me alone. But some parents just don't get it, and you know, I haven't fully felt or fully experienced the envy to this level or whatnot, but I know I've experienced with my biological before that, you know, she wishes her life was something like mine's or whatever, or some of that case, and you kind of feel it, especially being an empath, like you feel like this weirdness, this tension between the two of you, like it's always a comparison, and I'm trying to be, why are you comparing your life to mine's when you obviously lived your life and didn't really care about mine's at the time? And I can relate to Coi on that space or whatever, is when the time when I needed you, you weren't there for me. Now that I don't need you, you want to be in comparison and competition with me. And it's crazy. Like, you know, like, why are you competing with me? Just you had your time. You had your moment. You had your shine. Just let me have mine now. Let me be in my moment now. Let me enjoy me. You weren't worried before in the past, so don't worry about it now. And it's a tight space for her to be in, because we're in a public space now trying to mend a broken relationship with somebody that's supposed to naturally be close to us. And they're constantly doing things. Everybody don't see that her dad actually does a lot of things to bring the attention. She never brought the attention. You know what I'm saying? It was almost to the point that she didn't even address that whose daughter she was. That's how much she was trying to distance herself from it and just make her own way. And it was her dad who originally came and made everybody know, oh, that's my child. That's my daughter. And it's like, okay, it could be seen as a proud moment, but sometimes it's like, calm down, Dad. It's my game tonight. Sit down in the seats, cheer me on when it's time to cheer me on, and just watch. Just let me have this moment. You had yours. Your moment was bigger than me. So right now, my moment is bigger than you. You got to understand, we're going to mirror each other at some point during this relationship. And if you wanted the best for me, you would have gave me the best so I can return that favor. So I don't know what Benzino really wants. I don't know what the people in the comments really want from her. This is her setting her boundaries with her dad. Like, bro, look, I've tried to tell you in private. Now we got to take it to a public platform, because that's where you like to do business, obviously. So where you do business, that's where we're going to take it. And I think that's just where she's at with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, and, you know, I think, like you said, a lot of people, like, you know, have gone to a private one-on-one conversation before it's gone public oftentimes, right? Most people in their situation, most daughters in this situation have gone privately one-to-one. And what happens is that the conversation gets shut down. And especially if you don't have an advocator between yourself and the father figure, this often it becomes a very frustrating cycle of conversation. I myself have mediated between my sister and my brother and my dad, and it's frustrating even for the mediator. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're looking at a father figure. Don't you get it? You know what I mean? You don't get it. Like, how are you not getting it? Like, they don't get it, and that's you know what I mean. So I can only imagine not having a mediator and trying to make someone who says they love you to understand where they're hurting you and where they've hurt you, and they're not getting it. So obviously someone like Coi Leray is on the public platforms already because she's a musician, and then, you know, she's frustrated, she's hurt, you know, she's and the thing is, we talk about the fact that why the reaction is so wild. Well, when we talk about hurt and pain, anger is usually the top of the tree, which means it's gone through stages. Before we got to a place where we're angry, we're hurt, we're disappointed, we're frustrated, you know, and then it gets to anger. And anger is usually that last step that usually comes out when the person has reached their limit. And to the point where, to a point where that child then wants to air out what's happening because they want to release from the struggle and from the pain and from the weight of this situation. And hopefully that, people can see that and try to understand why she maybe feels the way she does. And I think one of the key things that she mentioned in one of the videos that I saw, and I did a review on it, was she mentioned the things that actually hurt her. And still he missed it. I like, honestly, he mentioned it. He mentioned it up on, she mentioned it on on a live, basically. It's recorded on the internet. I've gone through it. She mentioned several things that he didn't do, and none of it was to do with money. None of the things that she ever mentioned was like he didn't pay for stuff or anything. She wasn't concerned about that. She mentioned the fact that she had become a musician, she was killing the game, and her dad couldn't congratulate her. She mentioned the fact that her dad had missed several birthdays, had missed saying, any kind of congratulations or any type of, greetings during Thanksgiving, right? Mentioned the fact that Benzino wanted to go on to love grown up hip hop or whatever. And as soon as she said she spoke to the producers or whatever and said, hey, look, here's how much I'm going to be charging if I'm going to come on the show. And they said they don't want her no more. As soon as that happened, Benzino stopped talking to her. So things like that as what she's talking about. She's not talking about giving money. And where Benzino doesn't understand, he started getting angry and frustrated. And, there's a whole 50-minute live that I watched through the, and he doesn't get it. And in fact, a lot of parents, and I said this in a review, a lot of parents are children emotionally. They have not grown and matured in their emotion, in their emotionality, and in their emotional growth. And actually what happens is because they act like children emotionally, they force the children to become adults. And so now there's a role reversal. And then the role reversal causes frustration and more pain because why am I being an adult to you? You're the parent. And that can frustrate a lot of children too, as well. Yeah.
This a role reversal, but I ain't got the perks. I can't tell you to come in the house. I can't tell you to turn off the TV. I can't tell you to go to bed. I can't do none of this stuff, but I got to adult you. Okay. The only perk I get is you still paying the bills right now. Eventually I might have to do that too. It's crazy. I mean, I've had that experience with my mom. I say that all the time. And even it's funny because me and my dad joke to this day about it, that I was my mom's parent. I'm her parent. I basically had to raise her and take care of her. And that's probably why it was a little bit easy for me to do with my daughter. However, the hurt, the disappointments, the letdowns, all the simple things that weren't there when you needed it, all those times that you needed them, those things sit in you and they fester and they grow and they start to develop into other things that you take out. They bloom into other things that you take out on people, and so I have title 360 abuse. That's what I have it title as, because that cycle is embedded now into us. That child that's raising us is now inside of us. And so when we get to adult, we've been adulting at a young age. Now we want to be the child. Now we want to have that experience of being able to be free and enjoy life because it kind of got snatched away from us. Then if we mess around and have a child a little too early before we realize that's what's going on inside of us, now we're repeating that same cycle to that child. We're embedding those same emotions into that child's DNA. And now we're perpetuating it, and they're going into the world festering this, manifesting this next life and doing the same thing. And each time this cycle goes down, it gets worse and worse. And here we are today. So it takes somebody like Coi Leray to sit there and say, you know what, today is the day I stop. I need to fight back. And that's what she's kind of doing right now, is trying to break that cycle that's going on within her family structure of, when I become the parent, now I get to lash out and do all these things. The first step in the cycle is not having children so young. Second step is, let me address one of the problems that was in my childhood, i.e. my father. Now let me put this boundary up with him and see if we can come to a concise, to even build a friendship, to have an actual family now, a family member return back into my life. and be able to be in the next generation after me's life. And right now, Benzino is in a good space because if he actually focused on listening to what she is saying, listening to the pain, listening to that little girl that's still inside of her crying for her daddy, he can start to make that bridge back to her, and they can work on a relationship that he would be able to be potentially in the her child's life where he was missing in hers. And some of us actually really do want that for our children. We want that our parent to be there for our child. We want that village. We want familiarity and stuff, but we want them to grow up just as much. Because it's like, I can't have you a crutch raising my next generation who's supposed to take care of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I already got to take care of you still. And it's unfair because I've never been taken care of in the first place. Now I'm going to be in a position where I do have to take care of somebody else and properly raise them to eventually take care of me when I do need them, because the cycle goes to where I get into an old state. I need my children to take care of me. You're going to still be wanting me to take care of you. and the first thing they're going to say is kind of like, you owe me. I owe you. What do I owe you? You put nothing into this investment here, and now I owe you. That's funny. And that's what Coi Leray is basically saying is, you didn't do the little things. You didn't say the happy birthdays. You didn't say Merry Christmas. You didn't cheer me on at my game. You didn't cheer me on when I finally did a recital, when I got on my first deal. You weren't there in the background and stuff. But when it didn't benefit you, when you couldn't use me to benefit you, now it's a problem. Now you don't want to talk to me. So I made my way without you. And here you come again. But I owe you. Make it make sense, sir. Like, you got to look at what you're doing. You invest into people that you feel are worth it, and you told your daughter you don't feel that she's worth it. If you can go and give a stranger the time of day and make them eventually your wife to have another baby with them, but you couldn't do that with me. You just told me I wasn't nothing to you. So please let me repay you with that nothing. And in return, you got nothing. I'm going to double your nothing. That's what I'm going to do. Your investment is now increased. So there you are. Don't ask me for nothing more. You want something in return? Start by the little things. Start by, I'm sorry. I should have been there for you more. If you had stuff going on, try to get her to understand, I could have been there for you more, but I was trying to provide for you this way or that way or whatever the case may be. Like, most people that are parents that just work a lot, that's the easiest apology right there. I was trying to provide, to make sure you have a roof over your head and all this stuff, but I understand that emotionally I was not there for you. And possibly I didn't have it in me to give it to you. And if that's the truth, then let that be your truth, because they can't argue that. If you didn't have it in you emotionally, spiritually, mentally to be there for your child, you're human. We're imperfect. Hopefully God put it in that child to say, I understand. Can we work from here? Let's go from here. And I just feel like Benzino need to just humble himself just a little bit more, and get back in his good graces with his daughter, and everybody just stay out of their business, because y'all don't really know what goes on. Sometimes we have absent parents in the house. Sometimes people really be thinking that they're a really good parent. I had to check on my daughter a few times and make sure I was a good enough parent. Like, because I know for sure there was times that I felt like I let her down because I wasn't performing at my best to give her what she needed at the time. So I want to make sure that, in those moments, do you even remember those moments? Do you remember the times when mommy was down bad and sitting very depressed and couldn't really do anything, and I couldn't give you what you needed in that? Do you even remember those times? Because they hurt me. Those times hurt me or whatever. And so it's just like, kind of like my last thought on this. It's like what you were saying earlier. The people that be hurting the person don't really never remember the things that they do. But if a person's saying, I'm hurting from it, the least you can really do is just sit there and acknowledge them and say, you know what, if you really feel like you was hurt from it, I take that, I accept it, and that's not what I meant for you. And it kind of goes both ways, because there's times I'm pretty sure that Benzino wanted to do more for her. And because I feel like he's a bit more emotional than I am, but I feel like sometimes that even with my little bit of emotions, I go through a stage where I'm just like depressed because I know I could be doing more. And I feel like you didn't, for me in my head, and this is me. I can't speak on anybody else parenting, but when I look at my daughter, it's like, you didn't ask to be here. I brought you here by choice. My actions, my decisions brought you here. And so it's my responsibility to make sure you're good while you're here. And there was days that I really couldn't do that. And it wasn't like it was something like majorly wrong. It was just everything was going wrong at them times. And I really couldn't do it. So I felt like a failure in those moments, which was snowballing, having a snowball effect going on to where I became so numb that I couldn't cheer at her games. And I was having out-of-body experiences in those moments, like, damn, why am I not able to just be in this moment right now with my daughter while she's playing, while she's doing this? Why am I just sitting here on the side and I know this game is going on and I feel nothing? So I have to check in with her to make sure that those times when I was feeling nothing, were you feeling it too? Were you feeling like I was giving you nothing? Because if I ever made you feel like that wasn't my intent at that time, your mama was going through something. I'm sorry. Child, I'm speaking back to mine too. Don't worry. I'm trying not to cry right now. But yeah, that depression hit hard. And if he went through that, and I've seen Benzino. I've seen times where he looked like he was going through some depression. He was going through something. And it's nothing worse than a parent to have a child. And I feel like he actually really does love Coi Leray. And so when you got a parent that really loves you and they not actually living up to the best they could for you, that does send us to a depression. But the effed up part about the depression is we cycle out to where we're actually not performing anymore. We're actually doing worse than we're supposed to be doing. Instead of it motivating us to get up and do more, we just sitting back and just really having a pity party for ourselves in that moment and forgetting every responsibility. And it's like, oh shoot, you know what? You actually do have a whole responsibility. Get up, get yourself together. Let's go. And I don't know, like they just really need to have a quiet sit down with one another. He need to let whatever guard he got up down, because he got a guard against the world for whatever reason, but he need to let it down with her and just hear her out. I think she's in a space to be able to hear him out because she's still giving him grace for a lot of things already. And they just have that moment of heart to heart and just start that healing process from there. You know, it's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be that one conversation. He got to come to a space where he actually respects her as an adult, respect the boundaries that she set, and let her dictate the relationship at this point. You already had your chance to dictate it in the first, and you let that slip out your hands. Now it's her time to dictate how she wants to have this relationship with her. So just take it piece by piece and just be happy. You know, whatever little bit she gives you, you got to just work with it at this point, sir. Like, just let it be in her hands. Stop trying to force a relationship with her. Stop trying to do anything with her that is just not in her space right now. Give her the time, because you hurt her. You hurt her.
Yeah, you speaking some truth out here. I don't even want to add. So what I'm gonna chest pain. What I'm gonna do? Got a cramp from the gym.
Did I touch your heart? No.
My chest right there. I got a spasm. The gym was killing me. But no, listen, you spoken some truth there, and I love the fact that you were able to bring even your own experience as well. And I think that's the authenticity. And I believe that as kids, and you know your child yourself, so you know that's what we're looking for, right? We're always looking for that authenticity and that ability to be able to try and identify where we're coming from, because no one is perfect. no one's going to get it right all the time. And, you know, like you said, you're on your own journey. There are times where you couldn't give that output out because you're going through your own situation, you know. As you said yourself, you know, that freedom aspect, you're so on point with that, where many of us who weren't raised or weren't taken care of, you know, and end up in positions of taking care of other people, whether it's siblings or even it's the parents themselves, you do search for those moments where you can be free again, you know, where you can be a kid again. And sometimes, like you say, you can get caught up in parenthood and you're just trying, you're muzzling your way through, but like you want to be free, and that does play a role in it. And it is inevitable in terms of because of what people have experienced. You know what I mean? And you know, even from my perspective, I don't have a child, but I can imagine if I had a child, I've got some parts of me that are gonna move mad. You know what I mean? So, you know, so it's like because of the fact that we've had to be in places of responsibility so early, and your childhood, in a sense, your childhood has actually been robbed of you in terms of the full experience. So yeah, that was some powerful stuff. I am going to play a little bit of the clip of Benzino. This was 2 years ago, actually, when the original Coi Leray Dr. thing. I'm going to play a few different clips from the same thing. I just want you to pay attention and listen, guys, because this is exactly what parents sometimes are going through, but this is where they get it wrong. Some of the things that Benzino is saying is exactly what we've been talking about, which is that you are acting like the kid. And one of the things that you notice about parents that have not grown emotionally is that they put themselves in a place where they want you to love them and not them to love you. So instead of them being the giver of the love, they're expecting you to love them. And it's because they're trying to replace the fact they never had that from their own parent. And so they put all their emphasis and their strength in their child and expect the child to give unconditional love back. And when they don't get that response back from that child, they start then going against that child, which is what I saw with Benzino. It's like you're going against Coi Leray, your daughter, and it's because you feel she's disrespectful because she's not giving you, quote unquote, the respect or the adoration or the love that you said you believe that you deserve because you've looked after her. But then you don't realize that if I did my job appropriately, we wouldn't be here, right? And so it's interesting to hear some of the things. And it's a conversation between himself and his boy, Flip, at the time. And even Flip gets flipped. I mean, like he Benzino loses it even with him. And that just lets you know that if that's what you're doing, and a lot of times, my final point is before I play some of the clips, a lot of times what parents might not realize is that you've already modeled your behavior. Talking all the talk you've talked, I hear you, but you've already modeled your behavior already. So I'm now replicating and giving back to you what you gave to me. So even you telling me I shouldn't be this way or don't do this, I'm watching what you did. And what you did is different from maybe what you said. And so now you're like, but I told you to, yeah, well, that's not what you were doing. And that's what I saw in the Benzino situation. Yes,
you play that little clip that made me. Ooh, my daddy used to say this all the time: "Do what I say, not as I do." And it's like, bro, the first thing we do as kids is mimic. We don't listen to what you say. We mimic what you do. And it makes me think about my little nephew the other day. We was over here, me and my sister's talking, and she's over here saying shit. She's shit, and he's over. And mind you, he's only what, 9 months now, and he's over here talking about some shh. So he's like trying to say shit, and it's like I always laugh because I'm like, we always pick up on the bad words, but it's because the inflection, the animation, and your tone when you say these words, it highlights in their head and it rings something true to them. So when we're in these negative states, we're more animated, we're more this, and so we tend to forget that our children are watching us, and our bad moments as well as our good. But our good moments is just so plain and basic that they don't pay attention to those. But the bad moments is like, oh, I see you get reactions. I want reactions too. I see you like that. Oh, so you want to do this. Okay, well, I can do it too. And that's what he's forgetting. Like you said, like we're watching. Our children are watching. We watch our parents. They watching us. You got to stay mindful at all times.
No word of a lie. Internal lies. All right, cool. Let me get my notes up so I can remember where I was going to. Okay. So there's a bit of language, guys, is strong. So just to warn you, if you got any advertisements to swearing, it gonna get strong real quick. So just to warn you. All right. So let's just put this up on the screen.
I didn't even know she said all this, but it's cool because I can answer it all. Double than I was gonna get. How about that? They wanted her that bad.
Let me just say something, because I think that you should just hear her out and just let her breathe. Z, she's a girl. It's number one, she's a female. She's emotional. By you being irate, it's not going to help the situation. Everybody expects you to react like this, and you fall right back into the. No, listen to me.
I'm listening.
You fall right back into the tunnel. It's a tunnel that you go down when you explode. They expect you to do this.
You're right.
Why don't you just take a flight? You know where she is. Just go see her. That's it. They're going to beat you up. I don't understand. Just go to her. You know where she's at.
Listen.
I just spoke to Ray and them today. You go see her. You act like you don't have the power to get up and take a flight and go see her.
My nigga, I'm not going nowhere that I'm not wanted, my nigga. I'm not begging for nobody's love, my nigga. I've done a lot. I've been there a lot. I don't deserve this, bro.
Okay.
I don't deserve it.
Okay.
I shouldn't have to fucking fly somewhere and beg for love from somebody whom I've always did good for, whom I've always loved and showed love. I'm not.
She has her own feelings, Zeno. She's entitled to that as a human being.
She got a lot of motherfuckers around her. She got a lot of motherfuckers.
The 1400.
She got a lot of people.
Good.
She got a lot of people around her. You know what I mean?
So you're trying to say they're gonna attack you?
New motherfuckers I don't know.
If you pulled up, they're gonna attack you.
No.
Exactly.
Attack who? Attack who? Attack who?
Is that so?
Attack.
I'm trying to figure out what's the excuses. Excuses are the tools for the
attack
weekend.
Who?
Excuses
I'm the attacker.
Excuses are the tools for the
attack
weekend.
Who? Who the fuck is gonna attack me?
Nobody, Zeno. Listen to me. Stop picking little words and listen. Why don't you take a flight and go see her? That's what I'm asking. You don't know where she is?
Nah.
You don't know where she is?
I don't know where she is.
You serious? I know where she is. You don't know where she is?
Nah.
You lying to me?
She got me blocked. Oh. You know what? A father. Let me ask you just this as a father too, though, right? Sure. When you grow up and you trying to raise a daughter, ain't no handbook, right? You know what I'm saying? So like, like you don't see your daughter in a certain light, and some of the things you may not like, but you don't want to make her mad, so you shut up. But as a grown, but that's what separates you from being a father and a kid, and separates me from being her homeboy. You know what I'm saying? There are going to be things that she does that I do not agree with. And as a father, I have the right to say it because I was there in her life. If anybody's going to disrespect you and just listen, she can be disrespectful. She got it honest. Her mother said it. She got a temper from you, Ray, and maybe that's true. All right? But it still doesn't matter. I never disrespected my mother and father. I would never talk bad about my mother and father in a song, or even if me and my father pull guns on each other. I love that man to death. I would never disrespect that man. That man is everything that I am, everything that I know, everything that's kept me alive. We pull guns on each other broad daylight on Park Avenue in New York. Chaos. Helicopters in New York and everything. Luckily, we both got away. My nigga, this shit ain't easy. What the fuck?
You turned the camera on purpose?
The cognitive dissonance.
Jay-Z got the line of it, the sins of the father will trickle to the daughter. Sir, did you not just understand that pulling a gun on your father in broad daylight or at night, don't matter what time of day it is. I don't care if your dad pulled one up. That's still disrespectful too. It's disrespectful on both parts. I do believe, because I don't know who put it on who, but that's nothing to glorify. There's some moments that me and my biological had. I'm not about to glorify that moments, because that was a very low point for me. I never in the day felt like I would have to defend myself from one of my parents. And that could have just been the case between Benzino and him and stuff like that. But for him to just separate himself, to feel like that's still not disrespectful. Why did y'all even get to a point of pulling guns on each other in the first place? Like, there was some level of disrespect. And to forget at one point you were a child, sir. You weren't a prize and joys and the highlights of your eyes of your parents' life either at all times. Stop. When you're coming into age, you get disrespectful. It's a natural thing, because you're trying to find your way and they're still trying to guide you, and you're both fighting against it and stuff. And there's different levels of disrespect, yes. But we all in turn do it to a degree to our parents. And the fact that he's trying to make it seem like, oh, I was just instilling this, all this greatness into her at this young age, and she just out of nowhere came like this. Like, sir, come on, let's be for real. There's some things that you weren't doing in that time that made her feel the need to even be disrespectful when she became disrespectful with you. And to go back in the conversation, to sit there and be like, I'm not about to go fly nowhere to beg for somebody's love or whatever and stuff like that. That's your child. She did not ask to be here. You chose, and her mother chose, whatever the case may be, to bring her into this world. When you guys made that agreement, whether the mom decided to make it without you and you didn't really want to do it or whatever, but you decided to stay in that child's life enough for her to know who you are, you made an agreement to protect that child, be there for that child, however the case may be, and she needed you emotionally. You got emotions for everybody else, but you don't seem to have it for her. But when you do have it, you have it in a negative manner. Like, again, like she owes you something. I don't understand this concept of when we have the ability to give our child all the love we need to give them for free, we don't do it then. But now when they start to charge us for the love, we don't want to pay. You didn't want to show her how worthy she was, so she put a price tag on herself and said, this is what you need to do for you to get my love. Now you don't want to pay. She's supposed to just give it to you for free. That's abuse. I'm sorry. That's a form of abuse too, because you're abusing your power as a parent. A parent figure, you're abusing your power as a parent to sit here and just tell me I owe you my love, when deep down inside, I don't feel like you gave it to me when I was at the most vulnerable stage of my life. That's wild. I give Flip credit, because Flip do be trying to be sound sometimes when he be in between Benzino and he be in between Joe and stuff like that. He be trying to be a sounding board, but he was not trying to hear. He was being real childish. Benzino was being hella childish in that moment. I ain't about to do this. Like, you're throwing tantrums. What did she do? That little girl, that girl did not hurt you. She's not none of the women that you dealt with in your past. She's not your mama. She's not your auntie. She's not your sister. She's not no other woman in this world that hurt you. God gave you a blessing, and that's what she was supposed to be. That man is wild. I see why she got to go the way she got to go. I'd have blocked him too. Is this what you doing? My energy, I gotta be at the studio tomorrow. I ain't got time for this. Goodbye.
Honestly, listen, he was doing way too much, and there's so much more in that clip as well. And I'll play one a little bit later. But I just think to myself when I listen to Benzino, you see that those particular patterns of behavior from him. And it is exactly what we said earlier on, which is that it goes back to that point where we're talking about parents becoming children again in their emotional state, that they don't react in emotional maturity. They react in a way that is unhealthy, and that is underdeveloped. And so that is why you hear him arguing with Flip, and Flip is trying to talk sense into him by saying, hey, look, you can get on a flight. You don't, it doesn't cost you anything. Get on a flight, go and see her, go and mend the fences. But he won't do that because he still believes he's the offended party. And that's the problem with dealing with parents in this state of mind. They still believe they're the offended party. But guess what? They haven't been offended by you. They've been offended by their own parent. And they're now taking it out on their child now because the child is not playing ball. And so it's almost like a trigger for them, right? And so they project their pain that they have for their own parent onto you oftentimes, right? And so now you're not playing ball. You're disrespectful. You're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. I'm not gonna chase you around. And when I play the clip, you'll see what I mean by this kind of projection. Is that it gets to a point where the parent believes that you're not a victim, and that you're making stuff up, and that you're really not hurt by what they did, and actually they're the ones that should be hurt. And I'm always going to say this again. People often associate with narcissism. I'm telling you, it's not oftentimes it's not narcissism. People just can't see your perspective because they themselves have been so wounded. All they see is their own pain. And when people don't have the tools to be introspective because they've always been a space of survival, and introspection is one of the tools is a God-given tool, I believe, that not everyone has. A lot of people have to develop it more often than not through time and experience, and actually sitting down and being very intentional about it. But a lot of people don't see themselves and sit down with themselves and actually slow down the process. They're so locked into their pain that they can't hear any other sound. They're drowned out by their own pain. And so because of that wound, they're going to be like, well, my life was hard. I had hard things. I don't know why you complaining. I put food in your belly. You got clothes on your back. You got a roof over your head. You know where you're sleeping tonight. You had heating. You had warmth. You went to school. You had clothes when you went to school. They start listing off things that they were doing for you, and they start deflecting rather than actually addressing the actual core issue at hand, which is your behavior, sir or madam. And we're talking about the men here, so the father figure. Your behavior was off. You didn't realize that emotionally you didn't connect with me. So whilst you may have provided the physical means, emotionally I was left starved and neglected. And, I was left naked emotionally, but you haven't realized that. And because it's the Thanos line, you haven't made peace with your failures. So what does that take you back to? Right back here. And actually, that's actually a line. It really does take you right back to square one because you're not dealing with the fact that this area you didn't get quite right.
Yeah, well, you find in that clip, I'll say, I'll tie it into being intentional. We talk about being intentional in the relationships that we're going into with, that are not platonic or not family related relationships and stuff like that. But we never talk about being intentional as a parent. And some of us do it unconsciously. We felt some type of way as a child and we'd be like, oh, we're never going to do that to our child or whatever. But showing up intentionally as a parent is more than just making sure that we don't repeat the mistakes that our parents did or whatever. And that's a good start. Granted, yes. But you have to also realize that while you're not repeating the mistakes that your parents made, you're still making mistakes. And sometimes in my intentions on doing good for you, I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to do something that makes you feel some type of way that goes against the individual that God made you to be. And I have to sit back and sometimes just say to myself, you know what, I gave it my best or whatever, but here, tell me where I went wrong. Let me try to see if I could fix some things that I did for you that makes you act out this certain type of way, or makes you do these type of things, or makes you feel and look at me a certain type of way. And that's really what Benzino really wants, is to figure out why she looks at him that type of way. That's why he's acting all out and stuff, but he wants her to come to him instead of just being an adult and saying, hey, Obviously, I went wrong somewhere in my attempts to raise you. For the next child that I might have come behind you, or for the next relationship I get into, let me sit with you and figure out what I did wrong. And sometimes it's like these little relationships, especially the ones with our family, if we fix those first, all the outside relationships become easier to fix. Because now we are fixing things with people that we have to actually live with, but we want to really live happily with. And stop trying to just dismiss, because we'll do this thing where, well, I got these people that I got to put up with, so I'm not going to put up with this from the outside people. Well, you know what? If you fix that over there, you're right. You won't have to put up with the outside people, because you will be able to fix the outside people's relationships too. And if they don't want to be in a fixable state, you'll be able to leave them alone a lot faster. But you can't leave these people alone. These are your family. At the end of the day, you're going to need somebody to take care of you, and then you don't want some stranger taking care of you. So fix your relationships in home first. Start there. So your child will learn how to fix the relationships when it comes up with their children. And we start becoming, instead of breakers and tear downers, we become builders and fixers. And we learn how to return, not repeat the cycle, but restore the cycle going forth. We start making it next generations a lot stronger and a lot better. We need to have more of these conversations. Like, we need to actually start talking about some of the things that went on in the home. Because abuse, essay culture, this type of behavior, this child raising a parent behavior, all this stuff, all of these like little things start at the house, and we send our children off in the world and say, hey, be great people. We done broke them all up at the house, and then we try to send them out there and say, be great people. And so all they doing spending the rest of their adulthood is trying to mend the pieces that we broke at home. They go on to pick up pieces and the wrong people outside of the world, because they didn't get that love. Now I got my daughter in the world because she didn't get that love from her daddy. So the love that she thought is love, which is possibly could be abuse or whatever and stuff the case may be, now she's going to try to find it in that man. Or she gonna pick up the wrong man because she wasn't never taught what love feels like. So she's spending her whole life picking up the wrong men and trying to figure out what is it, what is she doing wrong or whatever. It's like sometimes it didn't start with her doing something wrong. It started with the parent not doing something right and having these conversations, trying to fix that little piece in them that is just it's not quite broken. It's just a little off. Just a little off. But if I just turn the now and help you understand why it is I was in this space, and while I was in this space, I understand how I affected you. Now we both a little bit turned back to normal. We're both a little bit more in line with what God had in store for us when he made us perfect originally. We're getting those little dents out the pan. And we're almost a perfect cake now. Like we can do this, but we just got to have conversations, and we have to be able to be in a space to be able to say, hey, this is how you treat me. I know I'm your child, but as an adult, I need this treatment. And vice versa. Like you really do teach people how to treat you. And it's okay for our children to be able to come to us at a space and say, hey, you know what, Mom, I don't really like when you do that. I don't like when you yell. It makes me feel some type of way. I don't like to do, I don't just have this dialogue with your child. Just open a space, make them feel like they have a safe space in this world. And then they'll be able to create a safe space for the next person. You right, Nichelle. He won't. And that's what the problem is. Some of us he don't want to feel like he's wrong. Because even if you listen to that whole conversation with Flip, that's what he's basically saying. I ain't did nothing wrong. It's the world did this to me. Everybody did this to me. But however, I didn't do this. I didn't disrespect my parents like you did. You did. Y'all in broad daylight with the helicopters with guns pointing at each other. Somebody disrespected somebody. Like, say what?
You ain't telling no lies. You ain't telling lies. You ain't telling lies. So I got one more clip. Same clip, but I just wanted to bring it a bit further along in the conversation. And I think this was an encapsulation of what I felt. I was saying about the people feel like their children are they're not victims. So this was something that he said about Coi Leray, and I'll play another. There's another part. I'll just fast forward.
First, fix the screen first.
No.
I don't want you to talk to me in the green screen.
Press the X and get out of there because I don't got one. You gotta talk to me. We're gonna talk like this or see you later.
Yo, that's giving me a headache. Fix it.
No. Either talk to me like this or see you later. Press the X.
I'm not pressing the X.
Press the X, Flip.
No.
Well, then talk to me like this then.
Because you mad at me for telling you something
you don't know what the fuck you're talking about right now. And you're making it easier for her
to
like,
I'm not,
be the
no,
victim.
I'm not.
You're making it easier for her to be a victim in all this, bro. That's what you're doing.
She should not disrespect her father. I agree with you, but I'm just trying to show you another
Did
angle.
you tell her that? Did you say that?
I'm saying it now, nigga, in front of so many people. I'm saying it now, but I'm trying to tell you, though, just listen. Oh, yeah, you trying to play me. All right, cool. All right. You want to play me?
Bro. Blow his fucking head off, right? This is all fucked up.
That's not the case. Stop it.
I'm just saying.
But you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong.
No.
Stop. You didn't listen to what she said. Stop. See?
But that's what she...
Stop.
Tell me what she said. I'm sorry, Flip. I don't know what she said.
She said that you told her that you wish she was a boy.
Yo, man.
That's what she just said, see? She saw our video. She said that you're blaming her mother, and she said something about you wish she was a boy, and these things. And when she called the action for support, this is all online. Z, she did it today.
On my dead mother, Mary Scott, whom I love dearly, my best friend. I ain't never said no shit like that. On my dead mother, we on the internet. This is what she wanted. It's what she got. My fucking name's not, and my honor will not be compromised, bro. I'm a good nigga, I'm a great father, and I'm a great man. And I'm not going for this. I'm going to defend myself. If nobody else out here that was around me is going to defend me, if all my niggas, my father, and everybody else is just going to sit back like this, well, I got to defend myself. Because they was there, they know.
I mean, there was a bag of things that he said that were a bit problematic. He said she's not the victim. He blamed the mother. He then denied that he had called her a boy, that he wanted a boy instead. And, you know, in this, he's now trying to say, you know, I'm a good father, I'm a good man syndrome. So quite a few things that he's not realizing, and Flip for the whole entire thing is trying to let him see, and he's not willing to see the other side.
This is kind of triggering because I swear this is like me and my mom. It's like me and my biological, because it's really hard because she didn't mature out of this phase either, you know. And I get it. Like I say, I have grace for her because I understood the abuse that she suffered going through childhood. Like I told you before we started, that she got whoopings every day before she left the house, before she even did anything, because it was like, oh, you're going to do something. And so like they gave her a whooping. So she eventually did something because it's like, I already got the punishment, so I'm going to just do. But that gave her a mentality to already have a bad behavior or whatnot. And then she got into some relationships that wasn't so great for her, and the abuse took place in those relationships because that's what she thought. If I act out a certain way, they abuse me, they show me love. And it got to a point where it was a SA thing and a DV situation, and they end up breaking her leg or whatever. Yeah, literally. So she had to have grafted skin on her leg from her butt to like heal her leg, like really tore her up or whatever. But before then, she hadn't developed mentally. And by this time, like this is some years after I'm already born anyway, but by this time, she's already had abuse with drugs. and all these other things. So the development is still not growing. And that's what I'm receiving from Benzino right now, that, you know, you're doing a whole bunch of things that hindered that growth for you to even be in a space to have self-awareness of, as a child, I was hurt. And in return, I hurt my child. Let me fix it. You know, and you're instead of just trying to fix it, you're pushing her more away by these antics. You're even pushing Flip away, like you're messing with the screen and you doing all this stuff, and you're basically trying to tune him out because he's not agreeing with you. And the most funniest thing he says at the end, my dad, my mom, everybody just sits there and just looks at me like, sir, because everybody know you got yourself into this space. And everybody's clearly been trying to talk to you. And this is the reaction you must be giving everybody. So everybody just like, okay, well, you know what? Fine. Do it your way. Do it your way. And now Cole's like, fine, block. Because I'm tired of you trying to do it your way. We don't want to do it your way no more. Your way is obviously not working. And I know I've said this on lives before. Sometimes when we keep trying to do it our way and we're not getting the reaction that we want, then we need to stop, pause, and say, you know what? Obviously, I'm not doing it right. Let me try another method. Now, if you try several different methods and you're still not getting that reaction that you're actually looking for, it might not be you. But if you're sticking to your method only and your method is law, but everybody doesn't agree with your law, sir, it might just be you. Just humble yourself a bit. You're fighting. And it's so funny because you really want this relationship with your daughter. You on this whole live with a grown man arguing about this situation. You really want this relationship. Step outside of your pride. Go to your daughter and just sit there and say, how can I fix this? How can we fix this? The ball is in your court. Tell me what I need to do. And whatever she asks of you, just do it. If she say, I don't want to do it right now, give her space. Stop trying to force it. It's just not working. Like it's not. And you're repelling people more than you're attracting them. And you don't even realize that you got everybody in your circle not even trying to be in your circle no more. And it's so funny when I run across people with this mentality that the world is just against them. But they don't realize how much how much energy they put into the world to make the world back against them. You're doing a lot of this to yourself. A lot of this is you're doing it to yourself because you're your own worst enemy at this point, because can't nobody tell you anything. Now you want to live your whole life through this child. You want her success to be your success. Because this is your name, your legacy. This is you, this is that. Well, if that's what's so important to you, you should have groomed that legacy from a childhood. And I ain't gonna pretend I know what's going on in Beyonce and Jay-Z's life, but they look like they're trying to groom their child to carry that legacy. They're trying to groom her for success. They look like they're trying to groom Blue for success. You could have easily been that dude that say, let me put a little bit of mine on a hold because I want more for my child. If you really wanted that legacy, people that want legacy get life insurance policy. They put their children in the best schools. They do a lot for their children. And it's not all monetary. I know I just mentioned monetary thing, but they do a lot they instill a lot of lessons into their child. They spend a lot of time with their children when they really think their child is a legacy. You didn't even want her. That's what you said. I wanted a boy. You wasn't happy with what God gave you. Your legacy could have came in any form, fashion. She could have upheld your legacy. She can go ahead and get married and say, you know what, I'm not taking this man's last name because my dad's last name is everything to me. We live in a world like that. But you didn't see that because she's not a boy, so I'm just going to take it out on her. Because this is another woman in the world that's going to give me heartache. It's another woman in the world that's doing me something. I'm curious, like he talks about his dad a lot, doing a lot of stuff, but I'm like really curious what your mom do to you. Because you got a lot of venom towards women when it comes to a lot of things. And we've seen it through your course of relationships. Luckily for us, you've been on reality TV enough to know that you don't have a good track record with the women either. So
Yeah, listen, I mean, I just think to myself, the fragile ego of the parent caregiver as well, because Benzino wants to be this. I'm a great guy. I'm a good guy. I'm a good father. But the fragile ego won't allow for there to be a correction by the child who's telling you that you haven't done something right in the situation. And so you want to take the plaudits, but you're not willing to take the criticism that comes also with the situation, which is, hey, there's some things that just need to be worked on, right? And there's a constant quickness to always defend yourself with Benzino. Just always quickly want to defend himself quickly about a situation. This is obviously 2 years ago, but even in this latest incident, it didn't take long before he was on live again. You know what I mean? I got to defend my name. I'm not a deadbeat dad. And that she's not saying you're a deadbeat dad. She has not said that you're a deadbeat dad. What she said is, you're not emotionally caring for me. And so immediately you realize, and again, he doesn't even listen very well, because all he hears is, I'm not good enough. For all he hears is rejection. All he hears is the child not doing exactly as he says. I remember watching, someone mentioned Love Goals, but I actually watched Love Goals that season where that he was on. And one thing that was alarming to me was the way he would chase after Althea. And it's because, again, he just wants to be validated, to be loved, and he's got poor boundaries and poor self-esteem. And it's coming from the trauma that you faced in your childhood, that you want to be loved and cared for, and you want to be appreciated, so much so that you put yourself in a devaluing relationship that was toxic. Now, of course, your daughter obviously suffers too, because in reality, you're not even willing to listen to what she's gone through. You're not even willing to listen to, hey, like maybe Coi, is going through something right now, and she's mentioned some things. Let me see what I can, let me see what I can do to hear her point of view and see where she's coming from. After all, it is my daughter. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, where is that proactivity there? It isn't there at all. And the fact that obviously he was telling Flip to get off the live. You don't like the truth, but the truth was coming from your best friend trying to let you know, hey, bro, well, let's fix this. Let's put you in back in a better place with you and your daughter. You know what I mean? But instead, he was too focused on him and his own pain and his own extent of what he had gone through that he couldn't see another perspective. Couldn't. Oh, you're muted, Jay.
So crazy that he wants her to come to him and be the bigger person. She's supposed to be the adult. She gotta come. She need to come to me. Why she can't come to me? I gotta get on a plane. I'm not about to go to nobody and beg for it. Sir, he didn't even ask you to go beg. He said, go see about your daughter. Go have a conversation with her. Talk to her. Ask her why she's doing this. Sit and ask her why she's doing this. It's not about begging nobody for love or whatever and stuff. It's just trying to actually, if you really want to find out why she's acting like this, why she's saying these things, ask her. It's that simple. She is the horse. Get it straight from her mouth. There's nowhere else you need to go. You don't need to be on this live trying to tell the people, trying to convince the people or nothing like that. She's going to feel what she feels in her heart. You need to be trying to convince her that you're a good dad. Start by asking her, how can I help fix what I did wrong? What did I do wrong? Did I do anything wrong? She could just be a spoiled brat lashing out. She could just be that. But why are you a spoiled brat lashing out with her? How is this going to fix anything? Like, two wrongs is not going to make it right. So you online fussing and she in the interview fussing, and neither one of y'all going to make it right. But you want the child to come and make it right with you. The one who knows everything, that got it all together, that figured it out and stuff. Well, if you know everything, you got it all together, figure out that maybe she don't know. She don't know no better. She don't know that she's supposed to come to you and talk to you. It's not Flip's responsibility to have a conversation with your daughter. Stop telling Flip, have you told her that? That's not Flip's space. And I seen that, coach. I'm done with you. Because you know it's late over there for you, bro. You know it's late.
You saw me fade out for a second or so, boy. You better leave me alone.
But nah, for real, because we've been going for a minute anyway. We could probably wrap it up, but seriously, it's I don't know. It's gonna be hard because he's in a space where we see a lot of people right now in the space is I'm gonna do me. Don't matter. You can say whatever you want to say, but I'm gonna do what I want to do. And unfortunately, Coi is just in a space of I'm just trying to elevate, I'm trying to grow. And so I'm just gonna have to keep a respectful distance with him. And that's what she got to do for her peace and sanity. It sucks. At least I mean, because I'm in a space where at least I know that mine is because it's a mental health issue. At least I have that comfort of saying, you know what I'm saying? I know I keep my respectful distance, but it's a mental health issue with her. And I don't want to give him that, but it's leaning towards that, the way he be fighting against everything so much. But you know what? I'm not going to hold him. Like childhood trauma or whatever he experienced, whatever trauma he experienced does affect us mentally. And he needs to find some peace and resolve within himself. So he don't have to be on these lives screaming, talking to the top of his lungs and ignoring every piece of advice that people are trying to give him to help mend the relationship that he so desperately wants. He wants that relationship. He need to go ahead and just like fix himself first. Start loving yourself. Cause I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Men need self-love too. Benzino, you need to love yourself too. And the way you're doing it right now, you're not even showing yourself proper love because you think, I got to protect myself. I got to do this from the whole world. That's not love. Love is not protecting yourself and isolating yourself from the whole world and feeling like the whole world is against you. Love will help you know that there's people in your corner that is actually trying to give you sound advice to help you move forward with your relationship with your daughter before she completely cuts you out. There's still a window open for you. She still got one open for you. That's crazy. Because me, I'd be like, all right, base. I ain't got no daddy.
Listen, I mean, look, I mean, to be honest, look, this situation with Benzino, Coi Leray it happens day to day with people's lives, and I think that's the reason why it's such a powerful thing, right? Because and obviously because there's evidence out there, we can actually use it as a way of just kind of showcasing to people. It's painful, like key word I think that in all of this, it's painful and it's hurtful. When parents don't acknowledge where they're going wrong, and they're currently in that space, it's painful, it's hurtful, it's not a nice place to be in, especially for the person on the other receiving end, because all you want is the love of your parent. Like we can't describe the pain that is enacted, that you want the love of a parent, which is supposed to be unconditional, because it's the one only unconditional love you're going to get on this planet, because marrying still is not unconditional. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Your parents supposed to be unconditional no matter what you've done, and you can't access that. That does something to you. You get what I'm saying to you? That does something to you. So that affects people. And so as a father, you are responsible, if we're talking about providing, protecting, and being a priest of your home, is also understanding that your children need emotional deposit from you too. You cannot just be a provider. You need to be emotionally present with them too, spending time with them. And that can take a lot of time. And that's probably where people don't like doing. And I get it. But your children grow up and then they turn against you, and you're asking the questions, I don't know why you turned against me. Well, should you had put enough input into that child, more than likely that child would have turned out the way that you've inputted into that child, So yeah, it's painful for people to go through that as well. Any last words, Jay, before we round up? Oh, you're on mute, babe.
I'll just say, if you're a parent, a new parent, old parent, I have a lot of grace, because myself, I wasn't always the best parent at times. I went through my stint of recycled abuse on my own daughter at one point, and so it's not an easy task. It's not an easy task when you're a single parent. I can't speak on how easy it is to be in a 2-parent home and do it, because I really don't know, but co-parenting, it's not always an easy space. You don't have highs all the times. It's not always a great place. You know, our kids are our blessings and we want to give them the best. But in order to give them the best, you got to be at your best. And so I know Bambi want to come right here and start coughing. Right here. She like, I am your kid. Hello. I'm not in my best. I'm coming, Bam. It's medicine time. She I'm the kid, damn it. You ain't paying me no attention. But anyways, you got to be at your best and to perform at your best. And sometimes being at your best is just hearing your child out and saying, how can I do better? It's okay to let them coach you in parenting because you're parenting them. You know, I'm not saying give them full reins and just let them control you or whatever and stuff, but you could check in with them from time to time and just see how they're maturing as adults. They're turning into individual responsible people that are supposed to be running the next generation. So you are responsible for all of our safety because you might end up raising a little demon spy on your daggone self if you do it wrong. So hello, I need you to take some care. Put some love into it and just understand, you know, you got to give yourself grace too enough to be able to say, I forgive myself for where I failed you too. That's a part of loving ourselves. We can be able to give ourselves that grace to say, I failed. I understand, my bad. Let's go for it. Let's fix it. And it's so funny because she's steady giving them out ends and whatever and stuff. And like, I would have probably gave up on it. Like, yeah, no, we tried. And it's so funny because you can have parents that was never there for their child come into a child's life now and just be okay with understanding and listening and fixing it. And I don't know why this man wants to fight it so bad. He want to fight it so bad. It's like, just let her have it. Just let her have this moment to dictate what goes on next. Show her that what love is. I'm sorry, Coach. I know this is going here, but show her that little love. But you chase Athena around. You chased her around, sir. What's her name? Off of Love and Hip Hop, Carly Ray. You chase Carly Ray.
Oh, yeah.
Women around, sir. Chase your daughter a little bit. Chase her. It's not going to hurt you to chase her a little bit and just say, come here, give me a hug. I love you. You want her love. That's the craziest part. You really want her love. Just humble yourself. Humble yourself in this moment. And you'll find out it start helping you all the relationships. You'll stop chasing these women. You'll stop chasing them. Going to jail, being all pulled over and stuff. This is crazy. Be pulled over for your daughter.
He be doing everything but trying to help his daughter. Like, he be getting into so many situations. So Benzino just needs to focus himself on his daughter, I think. But again, that's why he was doing the therapy I remember with Spirit at Love Goals. He needed to continue it because until he releases that things off his chest and stuff, he's broken, he's wounded, and he's hurt. And he wants to be taken care of. And that's the problem with any man or any woman. When they're still wounded considerably, the focus becomes about themselves rather than being able to give to anybody. So Benzino hasn't got the capacity to give the way he needs to because he hasn't healed. He hasn't, at least when I say healed, hasn't done the healing work, the healing journey, because he's still spouting off right now. So he's got some work to do. There's an uphill battle he's got to do, and hopefully he gets into therapy because that will actually help him in the way that he sees the world and how he perceives it with his daughter, and actually probably bring about a better, stronger relationship. And sometimes if you're not, and sometimes the advice is if you're not going to do that, Benzino, you can get blocked. You can get blocked. You know what I mean? You can get blocked. Yeah. And that may be for your peace. You may need to block them. For your peace, you may need to keep separation. For your peace, you may say, hey, I can't call you anymore because until you get it right, until you get yourself into therapy, I don't want to hear it because every time you do, you end up hurting me, So
it's addict behavior. He got addict behavior and he needs that rehab. Like, go to therapy. That's the rehab you need. Like alcoholic does these type of things. You're behaving. The funniest thing, he is really behaving like an alcoholic drug addict in this moment. I need this. I need my drug. Bro, calm down. Go get your rehab. And your relationships will start fixing themselves. Trust. Check yourself in. Get that therapy.
I appreciate it, Jay. Thank you so much. Audience, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. We'll definitely have to do a part 2. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about boundaries and should we be keeping ourselves away from our parents? The guilt of having to separate yourself from a parent or having to even put up boundaries. I think that'll be a good conversation for next week or maybe later on in the week as well, because I think that's a tough conversation to have in general when it comes to parents, so we'll look forward to those conversations. Audience, thank you so much. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button. Want to keep it as real as possible. Make sure you subscribe not only to my channel but Jay's channel as well. Another round. Make sure you guys go and show love there and subscribe to that channel. We'll be back tomorrow. We've got a members only live as well, and an Ask Kojo section on Tuesday night evening. So it should be around about 8 p.m. EST as always. So it's good, yeah. So
Kojo.
yeah, ask me.
I'm scared of these questions. Let's see.
So
I'm gonna have some. I'm a troll.
Members only live here. You know what I mean? So we appreciate y'all. So if you're not already a member here, already part of this, make sure you guys actually get on the membership. It's £1, $1. We have membership live tomorrow. Last one before I go to Ghana. So I want to make sure you guys get in on that particular one as well. So like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate y'all. Still loaded. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. This is how you have sometimes. This is how you have to talk to your parents sometimes, because you see, sometimes they'll be sliding on the wall, so you got to speak to them like this. Say, listen, I know you're the parent, but you've been fucking up, and it's my time to tell you, get your shit together. Okay, all right. Sometimes you got to tell your parent, get your ish together. Appreciate y'all. Like, share, subscribe.